Testing 1 2 3. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Never done one of these kinds of videos before, but thought I might give it a shot. So today I'm going to be going through with you the full turbo TSX build. It is currently up and running and driving a little bit. I'm going to go through, break down what I have done to the car, some of the challenges that I went through, as well as some of the future plans that I have. Also, quick disclaimer, this padding here that you see here, it's just to block the sun because the lighting was kind of bad. So I just put it there against the windshield so the sun is kind of like out the way. But other than that, I'm gonna put timestamps down in the description as well as in the video, because I'm gonna be just ranting about everything since when I started to build the TSX to where it is right now. So before I actually start the video, I'm gonna make this a 2 to 3 part series. Break it into 2 to 3 videos just because of the footage being a lot longer than I anticipated, and I really do want to make sure I get every single detail out there. So instead of just cramming it all in one video, I'm just gonna do multiple part videos and drop them separately. But other than that, thanks for watching, and let's get into it. So the turbo process began all in the summer of 2025. I bought the car in January of around that time, 2025, December, January 2025. It was wrapped in a blue. So I'll have some pictures thrown up to show you what it looks like. It was wrapped blue. What happened was I got into an accident while I was parked and a car hit me in the rear. So the bumper was cracked. And so I had to, literally a couple weeks after I got the car, it's pretty unfortunate. So I had to remove the wrap on the rear, and I also noticed that the wrap was peeling from certain spots. There were certain rust spots. I really did like the color, and I thought of just repairing the bumper and rewrapping it. But then I ultimately decided to just remove the wrap off the whole car. So that's what we're left with here. It's a black, and to my surprise, I found that the previous owner or whoever had the car last, um, whereas it looked like they were about to do a paint job because parts of the car was sanded down. So that was kind of unfortunate with pulling off the wrap. I could see why the car was wrapped after that. So I decided to then kind of sand down the whole car, and then I'll put some videos up. Me and my dad just quickly sprayed the car. Also did fuck up here, where we didn't mix the correct amount of clear coat on the hardener, and so it is left with a little bit of a rough finish. But up close is where you would see it. Far away, you kind of don't really notice it. I do plan on potentially restripping it or sanding it down to get rid of the rough finish and going through again with it clear coat. But as of now, that's not the main concern for the vehicle. Like I said, turboed it or started to turbo it in the late spring and summer of 2025. So originally, I ran what we call a top mount turbo. So it was this T3 cast iron setup. So I'll just show it to you right here. It was a cast iron manifold, and the turbo sat on the top right there, and then that was my wastegate, the wastegate piping, and then obviously I had a custom downpipe which was kind of all sketched. So that I originally ran that setup for about a year. I got it dynoed. But there was a lot of things wrong with the car. Number one being safety. So the thing with the top mount on these cars is that you do have a lot of things going on back there at the firewall. For example, you got a fuel line, your feed fuel line runs up against the back of the firewall, and having a turbo back there, things definitely get caught. And if things aren't properly, you know, secured or away from the heat, that can definitely be a fire hazard. So that was one of the main things um, that was going through my head. Another thing was that it did look okay, but I wasn't too big of a fan of how it looked. Things were a little bit messy. Wiring was a little bit everywhere. This was my first time doing a big project like this, so kind of really didn't know what to expect. I, tried to do as much research as I can, but um, again, you kind of learn through experiences. So yeah, it didn't really work out. I had a whole custom downpipe situation where I had a 90-degree from the turbo that sat right here. So the turbo sat right here, and I had a 90-degree 3-inch piping that came down and went into the flex pipe, the front flex pipe, the front pipe of the exhaust. Um, it was, it moved. I got it partially dyno tuned. Another mistake that I made was forgetting to put the fire ring in the wastegate, from my wastegate to the the actual manifold. So the part that bolts up to the manifold and the wastegate piping, there's a fire ring that's supposed to go in between that. And so the car was, leaking pretty bad, so I didn't really make much boost. But once I got that fixed, I was making about 5 pounds of boost. I had a 5 pound spring in there. I was using wastegate spring pressure. I didn't have a boost controller set up at that time. um, I do kind of have one right now, but I'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, and the car drove. It was a nice car, but there was a lot of things that I really wasn't happy with. So how are where we are today with this turbo setup? So really, it kind of came down to me scrolling on Facebook Marketplace and finding some pretty decent deals. Now, one thing that I do want to say was running this kind of manifold again, like I said, was kind of sketch with everything that was going on right there. There was wiring harnesses, the engine harness was back there, and the fuel line, and it was always a concern to me that if something ever happened, I always carried a fire extinguisher. But if that was something that were to happen, that could literally burn down the whole car, and so I wasn't really happy with it. Obviously, I should have known this, or kind of thought it more throughout. But what just happened was I found this manifold for sale for like $100, and I was like, oh, I could turbo the TSX, why not? And those were like my famous last words. So yeah, I ran this manifold setup, and the problem with this is that there's not enough flow for the exhaust. Everything goes straight into the turbo, and all the exhaust gases are so hot that this manifold gets really hot, that it gets really hot back there. And if something goes wrong back there, it could obviously burn down the car. uh and the same thing could be said with this setup. It's just all about safety. As long as you're doing things right. You could run a top mount. There's a CX racing kit, and people have done it. But it was just something that I didn't uh like after I started to do it. So like I said, I'll have some more videos up of me just showing the car. But um yeah, I so originally I found the Sidewinder kit, or just the Sidewinder manifold, actually, just the Sidewinder manifold, as well as the wastegate and the wastegate dump tube. There was a guy selling it off a marketplace, and he was a guy who built his own Civic. He had an EK or EM1. I can't remember which one he had, but he was running a K20 setup with the Sidewinder. So it's a used part, but he was a very chill guy. He works at a kind of like, they build a Honda shop, so it was a Honda shop. So I kind of trusted them in what they were selling to me, and I bought off the manifold. It was a pretty decent price. Got it for like about 460, 500 bucks, I think, with the wastegate and wastegate piping. Now the wastegate is a precision, or a precision turbo wastegate. Yeah, it's precision turbo. I always get mixed up with precision turbo and tile, but it is precision turbo wastegate. And then he gave me the dump tube as well, which I had to modify for my car. But ultimately, when I bought that manifold setup, I was like, we got to do the TSX right this time. All right, so that's going to be it for part one of the TSX breakdown. I know I didn't talk too much about the turbo kit, but I'm going to leave that for part two. So I'm going to have that dropped within a few days as well. If you like this kind of video, please do leave a like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.